Welcome to Mommy Heal Thyself. We feature guests who provide you with the tools, resources, and strategies you need to say no to a life of pain and suffering from all forms of preventable disease, toxic drugs, and unnecessary surgeries. We hope to inspire you to boldly reclaim your ability to heal and to serve the ones you love.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Mommy Heal Thyself. Today, I have the phenomenal Ted McLyman with us. If spending smart were just about willpower, you'd be rich by now. The financial industry treats you like a robot, assuming you'll always make the logical choice. But as you know, a sales sign can defeat the logical plan in seconds. Now, Ted used to be a financial advisor, but not anymore. He used to be pushing people into one-size-fits-all plans, and now he's created a system that uses behavioral science to make smart spending easier. Before becoming a reformed financial advisor, he served as a U.S. Marine Corps lieutenant colonel and an economics instructor at the U.S. Naval Academy. His experience spans from the combat zones in Desert Storm, Urgent Fury, to the boardroom, where he served as an aide to the Assistant Secretary of the Navy for Financial Management. After the service, he managed money as a registered investment advisor, founded Apexx Behavioral Financial Group, and co-founded DreamSmart Behavioral Solutions. He holds a degree from Colgate, Boise State, Pepperdine, and he's published 5 books on spending smart. Lordy, I tell you, Ted, we need your help now more so than ever. We are in that zone. I know some people are going through, oh my God, taxes and everything, but it all starts with what, Ted? Tell us how you got into this and why this is so important.
Oh boy, Michelle, thank you so much for having me. And for your listeners, I appreciate it. Well, this time of year, the trees put away, you're jumping on and off the scales because you're not impressed with the outcome. And all the talking heads in the world are now on TV teaching you how to do something you haven't done for years. And on a 20-second blip or a 5-minute infomercial, they're going to fix your world with money. It just doesn't work that way. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. I am a reformed financial advisor, no longer licensed. And how I got here is important. Okay. I'm really tired from everything Michelle just read about what I've been doing over the years. But once I left the Marine Corps, I just naturally gravitated to the financial planning field because I'd been working with people on money all my life, and I'd watch them make really crazy decisions. And I started to get a feeling, particularly when I was teaching at the Naval Academy, working with some incredibly bright young people who were doing wonderful things in the classroom but failing at life. And we just couldn't figure out why. We were just sending them more manuals and how-to things and classes after the fact. And it didn't work fundamentally. So I started feeling that maybe something was amiss because I was classically trained and I was taught that we're all rational with our money. We make rational decisions. All you need is more tools, techniques, and data, and everything will work out. Well, how's that working out for you? Once I became a financial advisor, I was very good at it. I worked for 2 national firms. I was one of the leading representatives as an individual advisor, moved to the dark side, went into management, and built some very successful practices or districts. But what I was not happy, I was not satisfied. Because once I got a little experience and found out I could do this, I found out that what I really was doing was managing behavior, not money. And the industry wasn't wired for that. And I became incredibly frustrated because all I was being paid to do was push product. And to be very candid, and some of you may be surprised about this, that unless you got a couple of commas in your net worth, most firms really don't want to talk to you. So about 2 to 3 years into my career, I just said, I quit. I'm going to open my own firm and I'm going to take a different tack. We're going to start with a behavioral focus and then bring in the products and services instead of push products and services and then figure out how you think and feel with money. And it worked well.
And Ted, that is where you and I met.
Yes.
In terms of seeing that similarity of recognizing that one of the main reasons why people are focusing with finances in their lives is because they think that it's a deficit in themselves that, if I were just smarter, if I had better tools, or,
Right.
if I had more willpower, and those are the same words and off the cuff thinking that people have with regards to their health. They think if they have more products, more this, more that, more bright,
Yeah,
shiny objects. And so I love the fact that you're approaching it, as you said, from a holistic perspective, recognizing
absolutely.
that we are holistic beings making decisions. And until we recognize that there's a lot more behind the decision-making process than just having fancier doodads.
Oh, absolutely. And I thank you for bringing that, Michelle. Michelle and I met on a Zoom call not too
Mm-hmm,
long ago, and we found we were joined at the hip, kindred spirits, doing exactly the same thing, but different niches.
mm-hmm,
And the niche I chose was money because money is ubiquitous. It's the oil that drives a modern economy. I don't care if you like it, don't understand it, it doesn't matter. Unless you live on a subsistence farm someplace, you got to deal with money. And it's influenced by three things that I talk about in my book, Confessions of a Reformed Financial Advisor, is there are things that conspire against us. And we first have to understand our biology. And this is Michelle's area of expertise. And I'm just kind of following along, but look around. We're human and we're always going to do human stuff. Our brains and our capacity to think and emote and do things is ancient, been around for a long time, but it was designed to do something very, very important. And it doesn't fit that well in a modern economy. It was designed to keep us alive. It was designed to chase opportunity and pass on our genes. Nowhere does that say do taxes, read the small print on a credit card, or when you go to the outlet mall, not spend an extra $1,000 just because you're at the outlet mall.
mm-hmm.
That's humans, and that's our biology. And money's only been around for about about 3, 4 thousand years, and our brain has not caught up with that. The challenge today is our economy is moving faster than we can assimilate the information. Technology is a tool, but it's also an impediment. It just means modern technology allows us to get more data, not knowledge, to use it in crazy ways quicker. And if I've got grandchildren and I've got a granddaughter that really likes K-pop Korean boy bands. She doesn't even know where Korea is, I don't think. She doesn't speak Korean, but obsessed because she's been
Cute.
bombarded with the whole thing. And then the last places are belief sets. Beliefs are a function of where we grew up. Our peer group is incredibly important.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a scary thought. The way you thought about money and dressed and built your friends is a function of mid-adolescent growth. And it imprinted a lot of our basic behavior, which means you have a lot of the same spending tendencies you did in middle school as you do now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then the last driver is culture. Culture,
Mm-hmm.
without doubt, is the single driving force that tells us where to spend, how much to spend, what we're supposed to look like, what we're supposed to do, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh,
So when you
Ted, I'm
bring,
getting so giddy from everything you're saying, because everything you're saying, you could just replace the word of spend with eat. You know,
yes, yes, yes,
everything is so much in alignment with our quote unquote physical health. And even when you say the way that our bodies are wired, in terms, and I won't even say wired evolutionary wise, but rather the way we were designed, because I don't
yes.
necessarily believe in the whole evolution paradigm. And the reason why I'm saying is that we were designed with this paradigm of scarcity versus prosperity.
Hmm.
And so, because we're always trying to survive, when we see lots of stuff out there, we want to gobble it up because we
Absolutely.
don't know when the next piece of food is going to come. So the same thing with our spending habits. When we see what we want, yeah, let me just spend it. Let me spend it, spend, spend. We don't have that sense of, it's not written into our DNA to have that sense of being quote unquote measured. That's a
Right.
skill, a discipline that you learn over time.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point. Moderation is not something we're good at.
Hmm.
And I mean, Michelle and I could probably get into the weeds and talk about genetic firing and DNA and all that crazy stuff. But the bottom line is we're human. We're going to do human things every time, all the time. And the way we behave drives what we do, our outcomes. The way I like to say it is we're emotional animals who think. We're not thinking animals with emotion. And in fitness and health and money, those are kind of outliers. And because when we lived in a simpler society and you were almost working day to day just to survive,
Day to
we
day.
were we were designed to behave very differently than we do today. And I would say that our leisure economy has done more damage to our health, our mental well-being, and our pocketbook than anything I can think of.
Yeah.
And we're human and we're always going to do human stuff. So what I determined was, why don't we start looking at money from the same construct? Now, I find it interesting that we accept coaches and different behavior and different wiring or design in almost every other endeavor except money.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an athlete. I'm a triathlete. I'm an endurance athlete. I've been doing this crazy stuff forever. I believe in eating well. I believe everything that Michelle talks about. I practice that stuff, and it gives me great satisfaction. Still out there running. I can try chase somebody down half my age. Okay, that's because I know my capabilities and limitations, not only physically and health wise, but also monetarily.
Mm-hmm.
And when you try to make us do things that we're not comfortable doing, which is not our natural state, it causes problems. So the way I look at the money thing is you've got natural behavior. Natural behavior dictates what restaurant you want to go to. If you want to go to Golden Corral and you want to cruise the buffet for a couple of hours until somebody politely asks you to leave, okay, that's a behavior. I don't know if it's a natural behavior, but people do that. And Michelle's trying to fix that a bit, but it's us with a scarcity mindset saying if I don't work both ends of the buffet before I leave, I may not be able to eat for another week. That's 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 a very human behavior. We do the same thing with our money. The problem, I think, in Western culture, for some reason, puts money in its own silo. It's over here on the side. We only talk about it a couple times a year. We know it's important. We make the assumption that you always understand it when you reach a certain age, whether you're trained or not is irrelevant. We believe that tools, techniques, and products are more important than behavior. We don't accept that anyplace else anymore. We've come a long way on the health side and the fitness side, but we haven't caught up on the money side. And I think there are a couple of reasons for it. One, it's a massive industry and they have very little incentive to change. Uh, Number two, we don't teach this stuff. We do not teach the behavioral aspect. When you take a course in financial literacy, if you're fortunate enough to even taken one, it's all tools and techniques. Let me give you a metaphor and let me help. If you came to me on the internet and said, Ted, I want you to teach me how to drive. I said, fine. I'm going to give you a list of a dozen YouTube videos. I'm going to download and give you a couple of engineering manuals, and we're going to talk about the components of the automobile, and we're going to talk about safety. And then I'm going to give you an exam. And if you get 70% on the exam, I'm going to give you the keys and you go drive. And you immediately go out and kill yourself. Or would you rather come see me and say, Ted, I want to learn how to drive, and we have a behavioral discussion. What are your physical attributes? Can you see? Can you read? Can you process the information? How are you in stress situations? How are you with anger management? How's your dexterity? Then I'm going to go out and walk you through this a little bit. And we're going to teach you how to drive from a performance point of view, a behavioral point of view. Who would you want to get in the car with?
So now, what are some of the things that we need to reframe how we think about it in terms of procedures or processes as it pertains to our finances? How should we be approaching our finances?
Yeah, great question. And in the book, it's really an easy how-to textbook. It's about 120 pages. It's written like a blog, and it's a lot of fun. It's not technical at all, and it doesn't talk about money. But first thing you have to benchmark is your natural behavior. And here's an exercise I'll give you real quick. Take a look at a bank statement and take a look at your calendar.
Mhm.
Where you spend your time and your money is pretty much a benchmark of who you are behaviorally with money. And we never talk about it that way. And I don't care what it is, but you need to look at it because non-consciously, that's the way you're working with money. As a human, 95 to 99% of all of our spending is non-conscious, automatic, and emotional.
Mhm.
That's our comfort part. In the book, I call it our feeling brain. Our feeling brain is what keeps us alive. It keeps the heart going, and it keeps us spending on Black Friday. So over the course of the years and working with a lot of clients and helping other advisors get their act together, I determined that we do it wrong. In our system, we start with goals. And it's like going to Michelle and say, I know I'm 40 pounds overweight. And she says, what's your goal? And you say, I want to lose 40 pounds. I said, write it on a little 3x5 card, push it on the mirror, and just look at it every time when you go to the kitchen and get something to eat, you're going to be okay.
Mhm.
Doesn't work that way. There has to be a behavioral modification there somehow. And it also has to be something that we never talked about in the financial planning side is values.
Mhm.
So I created a model I call the money behavior system, which it's the front end you're not getting in traditional financial planning or literacy. It starts with a value discussion, and it's very simple. What's important about money to you?
Mhm.
It's like Michelle says, what's important about being healthy to you? What's important about being active to you? What's important about having control of your meds? Okay, you're comfortable doing that, but why don't we say the same thing with their money? What's important about money to you? And for most people, it's much deeper than stuff. It's legacy, family, self-actualization. It's a higher ideal. Values drive goals. Goals don't drive values. Once you understand your money values, then it's your money temperament. Money temperament is a term that I put together, and it's the title of a couple of my books. It just simply means you have a natural behavior, and we accept that in everything else. But the natural behavior you have on a day-to-day basis is also the same behavior you tend to have with money. So if you're not an organized person and in the rest of your life, just because you walked into a financial advisor shop and he says you're going to start doing a budget, it doesn't mean you're going to be doing that. In most cases, you're going to fail miserably. You start for a couple of days, you miss it, you lose a receipt, and then it's gone for another year. And it's not your fault, even though the industry wants to make it your fault. It's not your fault because your natural tendency is to be a little less organized than the person that likes doing 1 inch thick budgets and 8-point type in with a pen. Okay. So embrace who you are, your natural behavior. That is also your money temperament. And you get into it. Are you naturally wired as a spender or saver? Here's a key point. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Don't judge, but you need to know. Because if you're a spender, when you go to the outlet mall and there's a heck of a deal on winter stuff, and you walk into the Columbia outlet and you need, everything because it's 70% off. Okay, your natural tendency is to fill your car. Here's a little tip. Leave your wallet or purse in the car. If you really want that stuff, walk all the way back over to your car on the other side of the parking lot, pick up the card, and I just saved you a fortune. Because
It
if it was
reminds me
that
of the,
important, you make it hard. You make it hard. Okay. So,
as we
so
say in our world, know thyself.
yes,
So critical to knowing
absolutely.
thyself.
And we
So
don't
now,
do that.
so now, as we wrap up here, um, what would be the one thing that you would want people to take away from this? Or what is something that we haven't yet covered that you think is very critical for people to understand before we leave?
Stop beating yourself up over the way you handle money. In most cases, you're trying to conform to somebody else's construct based on their behavior, not yours, based on their belief of what proper spending is. And a lot of infrastructure, take a look at yourself, look in the mirror, and you understand your natural tendencies. In the book, I've got the entire exercise to go through the process of determining how to make better money decisions by knowing what's important about money to you, by understanding your money temperament, and then making sure you get information in a way that works for you, not somebody else. We never talk about that either. I mean, if you're going to go in and buy a car, the first part's fun because it's all feeling brain stuff, and it's, you see yourself in the car, you smell it, and it's very, very, very manipulative. But when you go inside the contract, it's a completely different deal. It's all analytics, and it's right brain stuff or analytics. And you've got to make the difference. You got to make the change. Otherwise, you're going to walk out with a $10,000 upgrade for a navigation system you don't need because you've got it on your phone.
Exactly.
So I think the strongest takeaway, and I think for the year, instead of getting mesmerized by the gurus and the talking heads on TV, because they're going to tell you how to do it in a way that works for them.
So now you are leaving our audience with a wonderful, valuable free resource. Could you tell a little bit about what that resource is?
Yeah. On my website, tedmclyman.com, I've got resources. And one of the courses is an introduction to the money behavior system. It's tied to the book. The book is available on Amazon and in a paperback and a digital format. It's inexpensive, less than $12. With the book, there's a free course, which is about a $50 value that walks you through the introduction. There are also resources on my site that you can download a 3-part guide to help you go through some of the exercises I talked about here. And then if you want to talk to me, give me a call or whatever, but this is too important.
Yeah. What I've shared with everyone over the years is that health and wealth go together. And that's
Absolutely.
why we wanted to help you to start off the new year with an understanding of not only the tools to optimize your health, but also the tools to strategically reframe your relationship with money and to subsequently be able to optimize your finances and your wealth as well. And with that, ladies and gents, I want to thank you for joining us once again. Be sure to look into the show notes to click on the link to Ted's website so that you can access those wonderful resources. And until next time, peace and blessings.
Thank you for tuning in for this episode of Mommy Heal Thyself. If you like what we're doing here, please share, subscribe, like us, and leave a comment. Your feedback is very much appreciated.